session 3, biomass use and adoption across the sectors. I'd like to call on Des O'Toole to come forward to give his presentation. Des is Head of Marketing and Promotion at Coillte Forestry. He's a structural engineer, senior leader with over 30 years experience in forestry, and he's also former president of the Irish Bioenergy Association. As Head of Marketing and Communication at Coillte Forest, he supports the growth of renewable timber resources and their role in low carbon building and energy solutions. So Des, I know you have a wide, broad CV, and we look forward to hearing your presentation here today. So over to you, Des.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll try and make up some of the time we've lost. I suppose, just like to thank Sean, Morris, and the IrBEA wider team for the opportunity to be able to speak here to you today. What I'd like to talk to you today about is the opportunity for biomass in the pharmaceutical sector, and share with you some case studies, some of our client case studies from a sector that I see is actively embracing the use of biomass at scale. And I think there are maybe some misconceptions that Irina, in Bioenergy Europe, has mentioned in the fireside chat, that I think some of these case studies could, I suppose, dispel. Okay. So many industries, particularly pharma, rely on constant high-temperature steam. That's usually supplied through the burning of LFO or use of natural gas. Traditional renewables like wind and solar cannot supply this heat easily without extra conversion technologies. The other key point with the other renewables is wind and solar are variable. Industrial processes are not variable. They need steady and reliable heat. They need, I suppose, how can I say this? That heat requires storage and backup in some instances. This adds obviously cost and sometimes complexity to the design of the project. And most plants built on fossil fuel systems that have lasted for decades, changing them out quickly, can be technically difficult. So a plug and play like biomass is an easier retrofit when it comes to, compatibility. Biomass offers a like-for-like replacement, like I've said. A lot of that shift or that change has been driven by, carbon rules, carbon accounting, volatile fuel prices, etc. And energy security, it's come up several times today, is also a growing concern. At the same time, many of those companies are facing increasing pressure to achieve their ESG targets, particularly Scope 1 emissions. Eugene mentioned emissions earlier. Biomass can produce high-grade steam using existing systems, integrating with existing systems. Noel referenced earlier about sometimes having that backup fuel, alternative fuel source as well. This ultimately lowers the technical barriers to switch, and it allows that kind of faster transition. Recent wars, show, I suppose, how exposed industry is to global fuel shocks. Uncertainty about fuel supply, especially for sectors like the pharma. There was questions earlier about, use in hospitals, etc. I would put them at a very similar level to pharmas. Some of these pharmaceuticals produce, drugs that are used, for medical purposes, etc. And they cannot switch down. I would like to say, just to give some confidence, maybe to the hospitals and the like, and nursing homes. We have customers, and I'm going to share some insights later. We have some customers that have been using biomass for 14, 15 years, and the only time those boilers have ever been off is for maintenance. We've never seen them breaking down. So that does give some confidence in terms of, I suppose, how the technology has advanced. Biomass is local, it's secure, and it offers stable pricing and supply, as Eugene said earlier, reducing that exposure to global fuel shocks. Biomass systems provide a drop-in solution. There's some images here from some of our clients' fuel stores. Biomass delivers high-temperature steam, typically over 80 degrees C. That's typically needed for the sterile and continuous processes that these pharmaceuticals use. Unlike intermittent renewables, biomass provides steady, controllable heat, and it works with those existing boilers and infrastructure. We've been supporting the transition to biomass for a number of pharmaceutical clients over the years. Our biomass is RED 3 compliant. We also are compliant and part of the SURE scheme, which was referenced earlier. And all of that material comes from FSC certified forestry. So for every tree we harvest, we plant 3 more, and the cycle continues. This gives our customers confidence to decarbonize, that they are truly decarbonizing their business. Another thing that we offer, and I think in fairness we're not the only ones that offer it, there are quite a few suppliers in the room here that would do similar. We offer stable pricing. We sell energy. We don't sell wood chip, we sell energy. We sell on a euro per gigajoule delivered basis. And in some cases, a lot of our contracts have caps and collars to protect the client and to protect the supplier. We have a band that we move within, and we typically offer long-term long-term contracts, I should say. And that gives both the contractors the ability to secure financing for the machinery and equipment and the walking floor trailers and the chippers that they require to run the business, but it also gives the clients the confidence to be able to, I suppose, secure internal board approvals for a very major capital project. The map, just for reference, shows some of our industrial clients that we have, and the slightly darker counties are, from Coiltte's perspective, the counties that have an abundance of biomass available into the future. So you can see some of the darker counties are the areas, I suppose, where more of the larger scale biomass boilers have gone in from our Coillte available resources. The client on the top right is Astellas. It's a pharmaceutical plant in Killare in County Kerry. They produce medicines for heart transplant patients. So, it's a plant that produces a product that's required, for people who've had some serious medical changes, I suppose. They operate a single 800 kilowatt steam boiler, and they generate around 1,600 to 2,000 megawatt hours of heat each year. That biomass is supplied from within the local catchment, typically 50, 60 kilometer range, and it's all delivered, managed, quality fuel tested by Michael Quirk from South Kerry Woodchip, who's been doing that service for over 14 years. Astellas are so comfortable with biomass now that they're actually commissioning a second boiler in their plant in Tralee. So that shows confidence by the pharmaceutical sector that they're actually going again. Helion is another large biomass client. They've used biomass for over 10 years. I think they have a 4 megawatt system, and they're currently supplied by T&A Burns from Clonroach in County Wexford, also doing an exceptional job in terms of delivery, quality testing, on time, on schedule, every day. One of the key lessons we learned with these types of clients is that the ones that engage with us early, and when I say us, I'm talking the sector, not specifically Coillte, the ones that engage early are the ones that, one, have their heads screwed on and understand the dynamics of biomass supply. When they engage early, it gives us a lead time to establish a depot, stockpile the logs, dry the logs, get ready ultimately for commissioning, and it gives them an opportunity, I suppose, to request information from us as a sector to support their board approvals, their capital approvals, any engagements they have with the local planning authorities, any concerns they have about, dust, truck movements, et cetera, we can support them with their applications to help the project run smoothly through the process. Estellis and Haleon are large operations I've just mentioned. We've a new contract that's about to kick off very, very soon with Eli Lilly in Cork. This is Haleon multiplied by about 3 in terms of scale. So this does, in my eyes, show real momentum. It shows that large pharmaceutical plants now see biomass as a standard and credible energy solution. And like I said earlier, we've been talking to Haleon before they even went for planning permission, before the boiler had capital approval internally. But that's, the kind of senior leaders within Eli, wanted to understand security of supply. They wanted to understand how will a contract structure look, what will a contract structure look for supply. And by I suppose, talking to them early on, we were able to give them the confidence, and ultimately that supported the approvals process internally within the business, which now the boiler is actually manufactured and commissioning will be happening Q4, Q1 next year. So this video just shows you the scale of a biomass depot and the operations that go on. It's not rocket science, but there is a lot of structure around what's happening in terms of log and stock rotation, quality testing, moisture testing, particle size distribution testing. One thing that always strikes me when you visit a biomass yard, and the clients often come to see the stock levels, you can't go to the oil refinery to see your oil, but our clients can come to our depot and they can see 1 year's supply ahead of time, so they know security of supply is not going to be an issue. Okay. So I did allude to this just earlier in the presentation, but I feel it's worth summarizing again. To succeed, if you're out talking to a pharmaceutical plant or any other large industrial user, the key thing from their perspective, if you look at it through their lens, is long-term fuel supply agreements. They want to get a capital project, which is extremely expensive, approved by their board. They need confidence that the timber is there. Price stability, so being clever with your contract structures, having caps and collars, having indexation embedded in, having fixed prices for certain periods, all of them things give confidence to the client, to allow them, I suppose, to sign up to the agreement. But it also moves them away from that volatility that they have with fossil fuel. Working with experienced contractors, that goes without saying. There's a lot of really good contractors in the room here today, many of them with stands down below here as well. And those are the guys and girls with experience. Those are the people that you need to work with. You need uninterrupted supply. You need, backup if your chipper goes down. You need another chipper on call. You have to stockpile parts. You have to stockpile blades. You have to stockpile. You need multiple walk and floor trailers, etc., depending on the scale of the project. But you do need experienced contractors. You need to work with the right people. And like I said earlier, engaging early. The engineering and operations teams within those businesses need to have the confidence in you as a supplier, and you need to give them the information that supports their internal approvals processes. Switching to biomass does deliver immediate Scope 1 emissions reductions. It replaces fossil fuels, as I've said earlier, particularly in those high temperature steam generation. It doesn't impact on performance. It does lower direct carbon emissions, and it does also, which is important, support wider ESG goals. So it helps meet investor expectations, show real progress towards the decarbonisation of the business. And finally, I suppose, reliable, scalable, and sustainable biomass solutions are available here today. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Des, for your presentation and very great insights into the deployment of biomass in the pharmaceutical sector.